Everyone always asks, who or what is WD Gaster? No one ever asks, how is WD Gaster? Hello again people, today we are doing something a little different. In this video, we are not just going to be talking about WD Gaster, we will be trying to theorize who he is as a person. What does he want? What are his intentions? More importantly, what is his motivation? When I think of WD Gaster, I don't just see him as the solution to all of Deltarune's problems. No, I see a man who has fallen victim to circumstance. A man of science who wanted to further his knowledge of the known universe, who may have flown a little too close to the sun, or in this case, the determination extractor. Today, I want to try to get to the man behind the mystery. First, some context. Yes, I am well aware that only weeks ago I made a theory that stated that I could not confirm Gaster's involvement. I still stand by that theory. However, a common theme that I notice when most people talk about Gaster is they simply say he is the one behind X, Y, and Z. However, they rarely talk about his potential motivations, so today, that is what we are doing. Before we begin, be advised. This entire theory set is highly speculative, damn near 100% speculative, due to the simple fact that we know little about Gaster's life pre-Undertale, so in truth, this video is just for funsies. A way for me to have fun with Gaster theory crafting without having to worry about things like evidence. For this one, I wanted to cut loose a bit. So without further ado, let's get to the man behind the mystery, the life of WD Gaster. Our story begins with Gaster's early life. He created the core, seemingly by himself, not accounting for labor of course. The core is essentially a gigantic geothermal power plant. By using the energy from the earth, it makes magical electricity. This positions Gaster as having a clear background in engineering. I went with engineering because it is a massive field of study that gives you a lot of opportunities for specialization. For Gaster's case, it would probably be geoscience. Why does this matter? Well, you see everyone, what I'm about to explain is common knowledge in the Gaster theory community, but it is truly crucial for this story. Theory number 1. Gaster, Papyrus, and Sans were humans. This is a pretty cold take if you've already delved deep within the Undertale theory iceberg. At least, I think it is. Okay, so we know that Papyrus, Gaster, and Sans are pretty much the only characters that are named after text fonts. This connection is nothing new. However, at the end of Sans' boss fight during the genocide run, we see that Sans is bleeding and soon dies right after. According to a book inside the library in Snowden, monsters do not have blood. Their bodies are made entirely of magic. The body of a monster is entwined directly with their soul, and when the body dies, the soul dies as well. This is because, as we know it, monsters do not possess natural determination, except Undyne for some reason. The point is that Sans bleeding implies that he is not fully a monster, and neither is Papyrus. They are brothers after all. If we are to continue under the assumption that Gaster is connected to the Skeleton brothers, then we must say the same for him. They even have the same physical similarities. The only difference is Gaster looks a bit melted. More on that later. Now, wait a minute, I hear you say. Asgore would never allow Gaster to serve as his royal scientist. He's a human. Yes, you are correct. But pay close attention to my wording. Gaster, Papyrus, and Sans were human. They were not human upon entering the underground. Something happened to them, whether it was a freak accident while they were exploring an underground tunnel, or some other workplace incident. Gaster died, but he persisted. Determination is commonly found inside a human soul, and it's the very substance that allows that human soul to persist after death. What if powerful enough, determination could do a little bit more? What if, due to the crazy circumstances of his death, what if WD Gaster's skeleton was imbued with the determination from his soul, allowing his skeleton to be a vessel for his soul so it may persist after death? Theory number 2. Gaster died in his human life and became a skeleton monster. Having suffered the loss of his life and persisting after death, WD Gaster was left dumbfounded. This goes against everything he was made to ever believe. Why was he still alive even in this limited capacity? He needed answers. But he couldn't get them from any human. After all, a walking, talking skeleton would make any normal person run away in fear. A monster, they called him. Monster. Yes, that's right. He had heard stories about a monster-human war, but just assumed it was a bedtime story, a work of fiction. If there was a place he could belong and find answers, he would have to find the underground. A desolate and gloomy place as it can sometimes be, the underground is a big place. Not impossible to find, especially for an immortal scientist, and because of the humans who had fallen into the underground, we can assume that there are ways to get into the underground undetected, as unconventional as they may be. So, he accomplishes this. The people of Snowdin talk about how the Skeleton Brothers just appeared one day in the underground, which gives us plenty of reason to assume that they entered the underground undetected, from the surface. But wait, why did no one in Snowdin talk about Gaster? More on that later. In due time. After making his way to the castle, Gaster found the king struggling to keep his citizens happy and hopeful. Living in endless darkness is weighing on his people. So, to earn the king's favor, Gaster builds the core. It took some time, sure, but time is all he had, and when it was done, the overall quality of life in the underground increased. Electricity, warmth, food, entertainment, all brought smiles to the people of the underground. Gaster never sought praise or attention for his gift. What he wanted was resources, and now, resources is what he had. Gaster's true intentions behind building the core were to further his research. After discovering this substance called determination, Gaster theorized that using it could return him to his previous form. Determination kept him alive, so why could it not bring him back from the dead fully? He goes to work sinking all of his time into building his creation. According to Gaster's followers, Gaster fell into his creation and was shattered across time and space. The blueprints, as described by Alphys in the True Lab, detailed the determination extractor, a device that can harvest the determination from the human souls. Gaster most likely planned to use his creation to revive himself completely and turn himself back into a full human, but his body was long gone. This is why sands and papyrus are fine, but Gaster has this melted form. He injected himself with pure determination under the assumption that his soul would react to it positively. However, it didn't. Like we saw with the amalgamate, when a monster is injected with determination, their body reacts to it, causing the monster to melt. It also is known to warp the mind of the monster as well, which would also explain why Gaster's known to speak in Wingding's format. This brings us to theory number 3, how Gaster found himself in the Deltarune universe. Deltarune is a lot like Undertale, except the words are just jumbled out of order. The characters, well, most of them, are here, but they lead different lives and have different interests. Asriel is still alive, Undyne is a police officer, Asgore is the owner of a flower shop. The same, but different. Deltarune is widely known as an alternate timeline to Undertale, and vice versa. Before the events of Undertale, Gaster altered his already limited form by injecting himself with determination. Realizing his mistake, he tried to use the determination extractor on himself. It worked well. A little too well. Let me ask you something. What happens to a human when they die, but somehow they continue to live through the will of their soul, and afterwards they accidentally use a machine to extract that power away from them? How could a person like that even exist? What happens to someone when you completely remove that power that allowed them to exist after death? They simply stop. He stopped existing altogether. He was shattered across time and space, meaning that those two things no longer appeared relative to him. Gaster was lost across multiple timelines. So why did Gaster find himself in the Deltarune universe? Quite simply, he didn't. He followed someone there, and that person is Cara. This of course brings us to theory number 4. Cara is the antagonist to Deltarune, not Gaster. Yep, that's right, we're bringing Cara into the mix now. I told you this was going to be speculative. In Gaster's travels across timelines, like I said, time and space no longer relative, they didn't matter to him because he could exist anywhere and any when he wanted to. The only other person that could do this is Cara. Cara, as we know them, is an entity, a demon, something that when given enough power can take control. But even scarier than that, Cara can become so powerful that they can destroy entire timelines, destroy entire universes. One after another, as Cara's story goes, they take it upon themselves to use us as a vessel to carry out this massive genocide across multiple timelines. In their travels, Gaster and Cara come face to face, or presence to presence. The conversation between these two entities, given their history and their knowledge, would be amazing, but I doubt we would ever get that. What I would imagine transpired during this meeting is that Cara would ask Gaster for help, assist them in killing the countless people across the universe. However, Gaster refused. He could not help this demon. Instead, he would vow to stop this demon at every turn to put an end to this senseless killing, and the Deltarune universe is Cara's latest target. This is why Gaster employs us, the player, and connects us directly to Chris. No one can choose who they are in this world. Pay close attention to the wording. This world. We could choose who we want it to be in Undertale, but not here, implying that yes, the entity that connects us and who is talking to us is Gaster, and he is employing the help of us, the player, to embody Chris and stop Cara. Why Chris? Why is Chris so special? Well, look at everyone from Undertale, and then back to Deltarune. Deltarune doesn't have a Frisk counterpart, and Azrael only had one human sibling in Undertale. The Deltarune equivalent of Cara is Chris. People have already theorized about this. No, Chris is not Cara, they are being possessed by Undertale's Cara, the entity that travels to other worlds to exterminate them. Cara chose Chris's body because it's familiar to them. Now, Cara is planning to use the tools of this universe, the Dark Fountains, to wreak havoc and carry out another genocide in one fell swoop by bringing about the Roaring. However, with the help of a fourth dimensional being and a disembodied soul, maybe we can save Chris and stop history from repeating itself. I'm going to go back to real talk to close out this video. Now, do I think any of this actually happened in universe, or is this Gaster's true motivation? No. Like I said, this is just a fun little off-the-cuff theory surrounding Gaster, where I took what we knew about him and tried to come up with a plausible story surrounding him to better understand his motivations. Theory crafting is fun, so I wanted to let loose a bit for this one. This is not going to be the norm, it's just a quick sidetrack. Next theory should have a lot more evidence backing it. Until then, thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.